Player Will.
Welcome back, Visions fans. Ready Player Will here. Today is a staff black mage showcase. Meta from a couple months ago that really has completely fallen off the edge of a cliff, and for many good reasons. And honestly, I don't anticipate things going well today, but I'll talk through the team concept, and then I will talk briefly about why I think this team no longer succeeds. But kicking things off here, Strategist Jeume as the main tank here, Helena and Vivi alongside her. This is mono staff black mage vision cards here, and so I am using the AoE res, the unit res, the agility as those main primary slots. I do have some things in the sub slots here in terms of debuff weakening. I know the new Final Fantasy VII Advent Children card is great as my supplementary, not only agility sub-slot card, but the luck here, where these units are not innately extremely accurate. They're fine, but compared to some of the newer units with the much higher luck stats that we're seeing, this is actually a really important card for them to make sure that they are still hitting what they should be. You will note that I am wearing some Alexandrite rings here, and that's part of it. Obviously, there is a secondary benefit of the all-element res, which is kind of a nice value add. But I really don't expect good things from this team, and there's quite a few things going against their favor. But I'll talk to some of the pros and cons very quickly. Now, the pros of using a team like this right now is, number one, no one's really stacking magic resistance at all anymore. I'm sure those are not on your average Esper nodes. They're not high priorities on the vision cards. They're not things that you're really trying to do in terms of like buffs or innate resistances, so the lower overall magic resistance certainly is nice. B, no one is stacking spirit for that same reason. We are in a pure physical meta at the moment, so there really should be negligible to no spirit values on these enemy teams. You will also look at the status ailment, where Vivi's stun is still hyper effective potentially. Helena has the sleep kind of on demand there, where that certainly can play a factor too. And so while people aren't gearing for it, begs the question, is that enough? And the answer is probably no, quite frankly, because these are two units that are, A, hyper locked into their large AoEs, and there's so much wider the AoE resistance nowadays, these units can't dispel that, and so naturally they're taking far less damage, or doing far less damage on average because of it. But even characters like Jeume that have the magic res pen down as well as the magic resistance buff certainly kill their damage output. There's a lot in Sephiroth in particular here now with the curse and all the healing power down in terms of what it does for their re-raise amounts, and Vivi's got a heal back, and technically so does into Aldoa. But even for Helena's limit break, it's nigh useless nowadays because they're so physically heavy, the enemies, that her reflectability doesn't really have the same value that it ever once did, and even the self-healing to the team is mitigated by curse and healing power down. So there's a ton of things working against this team's favor. But we'll talk through the initial placements here, get an idea of what to expect, and then we'll roll the dice and see what comes our way. So my fastest unit here should be Vivi. He's coming in at 121 agility. Helena is just slightly slower at the 119 and should be 1 point faster than my Aldoa, who's 118. And the way this should work is that Vivi will move first. He should move between these two units, use his teammate buff. Helena will then move next to Aldoa, use her teammate buff. Aldoa will use her aura ability, and then Helen and Vivi will use their self buffs to continue forward. I'll be honest, there is a small chance I might want to actually reverse the turn order of Vivi and Helena. And it really comes down to the question of whose abilities are more important to get on the party. For Helena, she gives you that 25% AoE wide res to the teammates. That's very important from a survivability standpoint. But the thing with Vivi is that his buff gives to teammates on hit the re-raise removal ceiling, so I do want that to be on everyone if possible. So some trade-offs there of who goes first, but we'll see how that works out. So here we're going to start the queue. Wish me luck. Let's see what we get. Oh, and here we go. This is a rank 188 Jeume slot 1 opponent, and so expecting things to go very poorly here, but let's at least see why and see a little firsthand. And so yeah, the goal here is have both teammates buffs go off. Vivi will actually use the Vega TMR, which I do want him to have some chance to apply Berserk. It won't affect Jeume, who's innately resistant against it, but the other enemies, let's see what happens. But they're definitely faster. This is something that Staff Black Mage group has not aged well with. The agility values of that team are rather low, anywhere from like, I don't know, 105 to 115 at best, but they are far below what the Greatsword team and the Katana team can achieve independently. So a 2 buff going here. I would imagine that as a range 6 caster, both of these units, I'd be kind of surprised if I got both buffs off, but anything's possible here. You'll see Helena moves next to buff Uldoa, gives at least Uldoa that AoE wide res in addition to herself, which is actually a good thing for Uldoa to have. This is the shield, and then actually, does Uldoa already have AoE wide res? I need to double check that. Um, Regardless, Jeume getting the second buff here, very important. They obviously are moving in perfect sync at the moment. Already in range here, gets the barrier seal. Okay, no big deal. I'm okay so far. Cloud is likely to limit break, I would think, on the Uldoa, because that should break her barrier here. So it's a single target damage, so it does take a lot of damage. It also removes the courage. And at least I can heal that back. So all's not lost for Uldoa, but, hate to see that proc that early in the fight. Vivi's already in range. Not the end of the world. Double Darka. Quite honestly, that's more damage than I was expecting. Helena also coming in to start. She does not get her second buff off here, but I get the sleep on A2. This is going to dispel all their buffs. If I can get a kill, unfortunately, A2 is likely going to re-raise, and it breaks the sleep effect. That would have been better if I could have gotten the re-raise on A2 and killed her there, but that's okay. Not the end of the world yet. Jeume coming in here. Decent amount of damage. Vivi did not proc his heal back yet. A2 is likely to AoE them. Destructive Spiral. Here we go. I think I still have the re-raise online. No, I don't. Okay, so Vivi's just... That's right, he got re-raise removed to start. Okay. Cloud, I don't think he can hit Helena. Nope, he can't. We'll see if this kills Uldoa. It does. That's a solid 9,400 crit damage there. Can Helena... No, so unfortunately, I wish Cloud stayed grouped up. That was really the only chance Helena would ever have of beating this team. But I'm getting the limit break here. Unfortunately, the timing not great because she's not going to be able to heal herself for any damage, which would be ideal. That, she'd be half health, give herself an extra 6,400 healing, and maybe live for another turn. That's not going to be the case here. I would imagine it's going to be the diamond that comes out. Yeah. All right, let's get the CT up. That's due to the wizard rod, but I don't think it's going to matter here. Cloud is just going to absolutely probably damage cap me, to be honest. Oh, no. Whoa, not a lot of damage at all. But I at least get my re-raise. Maybe I kill Cloud here because I've courage. No, she got courage sealed earlier, so she can't actually remove any courage here. And because of that AoE wide res and all the other things going for him, the single target was the play. I'll be honest, if I ran this fight 5 times, I would expect it to go the same all 5 times. There's a lot of things just working against the favor of that team where they don't have the bulk that they used to. They don't have the courage removal as freely as they used to, even though Helena can apply it on hit. Jeume can also seal it on hit. Because Jeume is faster, she has more opportunities to win that matchup in terms of applying or not applying courage removal. There is obviously a ton of re-raise removal in that enemy team. So we'll see if we can get another one here, maybe with a Sephiroth, maybe with a non-mono greatsword team, but still not expecting great results. Oh, and we got a match. Get the fuck... All right, JB. So JB is going to be part of this showcase now. I would imagine this is mono greatsword, but it could be a Sephiroth iteration. It is! Good. This is exactly what I wanted, to get absolutely destroyed by JB79 on my own channel. His Jeume is the fastest. That whole team is way faster. I would assume double digits faster than me in the agility department. Cloud gets his buff off here. Looks like Sephiroth is going to likely buff Jeume and then move forward because she's technically the slot 1 unit, so she has the hate for now. Vivi is going to now start moving. We get that Protect and Focus. Again, Protect gets removed pretty easily by this enemy team. Helena's going to move to Uldoa here, get that AoE wide and her own re-raise. Magic damage reduction, which does jack shit in this meta. So Jeume will not be in range yet. She should be using her self buff here, the Spring Shower, the second one. Cloud will likely limit break here. I would imagine this does do substantial amount of damage. Breaks physical shields, so that's one of the... And removes Protect. So it's one of the driving motivators for why he opens with that ability. It doesn't look like it procced the heal back, though, so I'm curious. It didn't do much damage at all. Actually, Uldoa doing much better than I thought she would so far in terms of taking those hits. I expected far more. Vivi's already in range. Again, we saw that last time. Double Dark Out coming out. Again, not the worst. And it re-raised, removed on Seph. So Rose Blast, it misses the Seph. Again, the accuracy of this team is not great. Puts Cloud to sleep here. Can Mindbuster? No, barely does any damage to either of them. It wakes Cloud up from that sleep, which obviously stinks. Ton of damage there to Vivi. He barely gets the heal back because of the healing power down applied. Cloud's gonna just damage cap Vivi. At least gets the re-raise here because it was not removed by A2 preliminarily, but Sephiroth is more than likely going to just destroy him right here. Here comes the limit break. This is the curse. I would imagine Helena's also caught in this, but we'll see what actually comes down from a... Yeah, it does. So curse will not allow her to re-raise. Also will not allow her to heal at all or any kind of limit break work here, which coming out... Again, not a ton to heal anyway. She didn't take a ton of damage, but this is going to do practically nothing. It's going to bring Cloud to courage, which doesn't help me at all here. Ascension's Apex, single target damage, 8,600 on a critical hit. Almost dead and going to finish the job right now is Jeume coming in with Whirling Bloom, and that's the... Oh, wait, and yeah, the curse prevents the re-raise, and that's the end of the fight. So thank you, JB, for that masterclass on why this team gets completely outclassed at the moment by that even Sephiroth iteration of the Great Sword team. So we'll be looking to do one more here. Obviously, it could be that, you know, maybe initial placements are part of that factor, where if the enemy team was more diagonally opposite to me, maybe I could get some advantages there with the spacing and how they group up and how I can chain my AoEs. Obviously, Vivi with the Berserk online could certainly do some good things. Here we go. This is a third team iteration with Bartz. I would assume this is MonoLight. Rank 188, so certainly looks like a veteran account. Very high attack stat, so I'm guessing Lucio, Cloud, and Bartz, which should actually be pretty awesome to see in effect here. That's exactly what it is. I like it. Hopefully their positioning is diagonal from me on the map, though, just so we can get a different perspective, and it is. So now we will have a couple extra chances to maybe get some of those secondary buffs off, which are crucially important. That was also one of the weaknesses of the Black Mage team, is that they do have some very long range, and even more so than that, they have some very good height flexibility of what they can hit. So even this middle platform being 2 squares higher, like for vertical height, the Black Mage team can get baited very easily into using their offensive attacks before they can buff, and I don't think that'll be the case this time. Even with a potential Keen Blade on the other side, I think I still have enough room, but remains to be seen. Although gets her aura buff off here. Cloud should use a TMR here if they're... No, that's the Keen Blade, so Cloud is the Keen Blade holder. Bartz is going to use his Defiant Courage. That is his follow-up ability. Only a move of 2, so this is a bow-tied Bartz. Very popular build, just to make sure that he has more opportunity to use that follow-up than maybe frontlining and dying a little sooner. Vivi gets the Vega TMR off here, which, you know, again, a clutch Berserk certainly wins many of these fights. This one's really big for Helena to remove that courage on attack. Those last 2 fights, I did not get that online, and that is a major differentiator against a very courage-heavy team, with Jeume and Cloud in particular obviously having courage most of the time, even with the seal. So that's 2,100 on the follow-up on a critical hit. Not awful. Mindbuster here with that Spirit in Peril. That, you know, obviously does help in a team. Wow. What the fuck? That helps a lot with Vivi and Helena having that Spirit in Peril to maybe kill him faster. That's not a synergy that Aldoa typically gets to see nowadays. Double Darka on Bartz, not great here. Again, we're kind of in the front line at this point with no more physical aura. Rose Blast at least finishes him off with the courage move. Okay, we actually have a competitive fight right now, hoping that Cloud doesn't just destroy me. Wow. Down goes Vivi, still has the re-raise, will get some of the heal back. I very much doubt that he lives through a Nucio attack here, though. Now, Helena does still have re-raise, and she does get it on. I think it's a lost cause at this point. She'll limit break here, I think, and that will at least allow her to heal back some of that health. But as we've seen from those damage values, if they get to move consecutively, it's really not going to matter. Barely does any damage at all. Doesn't even get to heal her back up to full. The Reflect really has no benefit here against this team. Blade of Luminosity almost kills her. If it was a critical hit, that definitely would have done it. Cloud's probably going to just come in here and low AP, Focus Thrust. Almost 6,000 damage critical, and that's the end of the fight. So even that iteration, even getting a second round of buffs off, clearly outclassed even Aldoa going down in very fast fashion there. And I'll be honest, normally I would like to keep this going. I'd like to do 4 to 5 different matches, but I really think that's all you need to see from this team in terms of why it's just not all that competitive anymore. The damage is not nearly as destructive as it used to be. Their survivability is far more in question than it ever has been, even with a tank like Oldoa, who is arguably a better tank in this team than Raph is, just from like a pure tools and survivability perspective against varieties of enemies. Um, it just gets outclassed in nearly every single way. But that's it for now. Appreciate you guys watching. Figure this is hopefully insightful and get to see something firsthand that you may not always get to see. But that's it for now. I'll talk to you soon.